Welcome everyone. So the declaration of opening is made for tonight's ordinary council meeting. Welcome councillors, welcome members of the public, sometimes referred to as a gallery, and welcome staff. This is a decision-making night, so for those of you who tuned in last week, it was a forum where we got to ask questions and answers. This week we debate and move every item that's before us, so we have to make a decision. So the opening procedures still number 2, item number 2. Item 2.1 is the acknowledgement of country, and I'd like to invite Councillor Williams to present the acknowledgement to country.
The Shire of Northern would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet, the Balladong and Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. So we're still on page 6. So item 2.2 is recording of council meetings. So members of the council who are aware and members of the gallery, that's members of the public, are advised that this meeting will be live streamed. It is being live streamed and audio recorded and made available on the Shire of Northern's YouTube channel with 2 subscribers. If members of the public want to access the recording of this meeting, they can do so via the Shire of Northern website, which is very straightforward. Item number 3 is attendance. And we have the councillors as sitting around the table. We'll get to Councillor Bigland in a minute. So welcome all councillors. So if I go from my left to my right, Councillor Guerra, Councillor Ryan, Councillor Williams, President Antonio, Councillor Appleton, Councillor Polton, Councillor Hughes. Did I miss Councillor Ventelli?
Yeah,
oh,
that's all
thank
right.
you. Just had to make sure everyone was paying attention. So thank you, councillors. So
no, it's okay.
So the staff are all here as listed, apart from Jan Byers, who I'll mention in a minute. And welcome back, Alicia. So item 3.2 is apologies. So we do have an apology from Councillor Bigland and we have an apology from Jan Byers. So that'll be noted in the minutes. So item 3.3 is approved leave of absence, that is nil. 3.4 absent, that is nil. We now go to page 8, which is disclosure of interest. So we do have a couple that I'll summarise here, just so everyone's aware. As the item comes up, the councillors will be making a declaration about their type of interest. So Councillor Hughes is going to lead the way when that comes up. So we have item 13.1.1, live sheep export ban. Councillor Hughes has declared impartiality. A number of sheep farmers, shearers and shed hands and people carrying out work in the sheep industry are known to Councillor Hughes. Councillor Polton has declared impartiality. Councillor Polton knows people from the sheep, farm sheep in the community. Item 13.4.3, rates exemption application 375 Fitzgerald Street, Northern. President Antonio, that's me, has declared impartiality. Operators of the business are known to President Antonio and have discussed this potential request or this request in the past. The next item is behind closed doors, so I'll get to that as the item arises. But Councillor Hughes has declared impartiality as the applicant is known to Councillor Hughes. So we now go to page 10, which is item number 5, announcement by the presiding member without discussion, so that's as listed. So we go to page 13, which is item number 6, public questions. So we do have a couple of questions. So just members of the public are able to ask questions. Just a reminder, this is being recorded and members have 2 minutes to submit a question. So we're just going to invite a member of the public who's indicated they'd like to ask a question. And if you just turn it on as well, please. Just the button.
Thank you, Council.
Yep.
My name is Amy Jacob and I represent the Northern Song Guardian. This is my second visit to Council this year. If it's okay, I've got 2 questions. First of all, was wondering if Council and the Northern Shire was aware that in the last 24 months you've had about 8 white swans die on the river
As we're aware.
Are you aware?
I'll have to take that on notice. I know there's been guests, but I wouldn't know the numbers, so I couldn't say that, so.
Just to clarify, on the river, you currently have 7 white swans. One of them is a breeding female, the majority of them are male, 2 of them are unknown of gender. The deaths involved 2 juvenile by dog attack, 1 last week by apparent natural causes, and the rest were all cygnets failure to thrive. So your numbers are now down to 7, and as a result of things like wandering dogs, antisocial behaviour, water quality or environmental issues, the number of white swans, which are meant to be iconic and a part of our community, are dying out. And with 8 swans dying on the Avon River in 2 years, that's a phenomenal drop from, you're going from 55 at most down to 7.
So to answer your question, we'll confirm that, because I'm not sure personally, but we'll answer that in a
The
minute.
question is what does council have in mind for 2026? I have looked in your council papers, as I was directed, for any type of breeding program, and I could not find any specific information to pinpoint their protection or for their breeding or to continue the legacy of the white swan in Northern.
I know we'll provide in a written reply, we will provide a response to that.
My second question about the Northern Swan Guardians is that we have been given permission by the Shire to create a busy bee on the swan enclosure through the Shire of Northern. I believe that the Rangers have created a memorandum of understanding for our volunteers to go in with. I've been taking on board and signing volunteers under the Shire of Northern, and we hope to get in there and do some tree planting and laying some mulch, removing some invasive trees and weeds, and putting in native species. We were wondering, and we also have the late great Jenny Udding, who passed away 2 weeks ago from a heart attack. She opened up a bank account and she raised nearly $1,000 from her swan calendars from her photography. And that bank account was opened with me for the benefit of the swans. And Maureen Udding has asked me to ask council if we were allowed to put security cameras with the money that we've raised from Jenny Udding's efforts around there, so we could continue monitoring their breeding program. As we did last year, we watched them lay their eggs on the main island there under the Newcastle Street Bridge. And also with the enclosure, what other things can we do with the Shire as a part of the memorandum of understanding to undergo volunteer activities like this to improve the local environment and community.
So we'll definitely take that on notice, Amy, if that's all right.
Yeah.
And we'll get back to you on that. But thank you for asking us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, any further questions from the public? You knew I was going to ask you. So we're still on page 7. So we're still on page 13. So item number 7 is response to previous public questions taken on notice. That is nil. Item number 8 is receiving of petitions, presentations and deputations. 8.1, petitions is nil. 8.2, presentations is nil. 8.3 is deputation, so I can still invite the members of the public if you'd like to make a statement. So that's why you ask questions. I've still got to do it anyway, so that's fine. And members of the public, after you've asked your question, you're quite willing to stay or go. Stay and enjoy our hospitality, or you can go without reference to me. So I just thought I'd let you know that as well. So we now go to page 14. So we have item number 9, applications for leave of absence. That is nil. Item number 10 is confirmation of minutes. 10.1 is confirmation of minutes from the ordinary council meeting held the 19th of June 2024. Councillor Hughes is going to move, Councillor Mencheli is going to second. Is anyone likely to speak against that? So all those in favour by a show of hands? That's 8-0, that's carried. 10.2 is confirmation of minutes from the special council meeting held 10th of July 2024. Councillor Gierak is moving. Councillor Appleton is seconding. Anyone likely to speak against? So all those in favour by a show of hands? That's 8-0, that's carried. Then we have item 10.3, notes from the council forum meeting held 10th of July 2024. I was just going to see if there's any questions, sorry, council first. See if there's any questions or clarifications. With that? No, then I can defer to Councillor Bolton. Councillor Bolton is moving, Councillor Mencheli is seconding. Anyone likely to speak against? So all those in favour by a show of hands? That's 8-0, that's carried. We now go to page 36. So item number 11 is items brought forward for the convenience of those in the public gallery. As far as I know, the members of the public aren't interested in any specific items, so I'll continue as normal. So item number 12 is reports to committee meetings. 12.1 is the Community Safety Committee meeting on 18th of June 2024. First we have the minutes, which Councillor Williams is going to move. I will get a seconder for this. Councillor Ryan is seconding. So anyone likely to speak against the receipt of the minutes? So all those in favour by a show of hands? That's 8-0, that's carried. And then we have the recommendations, which Councillor Williams is moving and Councillor Ryan is seconding. Thank you, councillors. Anyone likely to speak against the adoption of those recommendations? So all in favour by a show of hands? That's 8-0, that's carried. We now go to page 37. So item 13 is officer reports. 13.1 is CEO's office. It's 13.1.1 live sheep export ban, and I'm just going to invite Councillor Hughes to explain his impartiality declaration.
I'm the first one to have to do this. With regards to the matter on item 13.1.1, I disclose that I have association with the shearers, farmers, shearers and etc. in that industry, and the nature is impartiality. As a consequence, there may be a perception that my impartiality on the matter may be affected. I declare that I will consider the matter on its merits and vote accordingly.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Polton.
With regard to the matter in item 13.1.1, I disclose that I have an association with local community members that farm sheep. This association is impartial, and as a consequence there may be a perception that my impartiality on the matter may be affected. I declare that I will consider this matter on its merits and vote accordingly.
Thank you, Councillor. So there's a recommendation on page 39, which Councillor Mencheli is moving. Councillor Hughes is seconding. Anyone likely to speak against? Councillor Polton. Councillor Mencheli.
You'd like me to speak on the matter? Most definitely. We all know that the legislation is already passed in federal parliament, but there's a fair degree of distrust in relation to this particular matter. The whole thing was rushed through in record time, and it really puts a dampener on the agricultural industry in Western Australia, particularly people that produce our sheep for export. And you know, this is a backward step. We've got a willing group of people in the Middle East wanting to purchase live sheep, and here we are with a federal government that has taken no notice of the people affected in Western Australia, and they've just marched ahead with the legislation. So I encourage everyone to vote for the recommendation as presented, please.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Polton.
This is a very contentious issue. As we all know, WA is the last state that still exports live sheep in the trade, and that shows that there is still a market out there for it. Whether or not the government has done anything to buffer the impacts that will happen on the people that will be affected by the loss of this trade, I feel is irrelevant in this case. I think the big question is, are we accurately representing the majority of the community by supporting this document?
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hughes?
On top of what Councillor Shelley has said, I'd just like to say the economic cost that will be to the local communities in the wheat belt. It's estimated loss of 2,322 jobs, loss of $1.2 billion, and the loss of population in the farmer districts, which will affect schools and the whole economics of all the towns in those areas.
Thank you, Councillor. Further speakers against? Further speakers for? Councillor Ryan?
I'll be honest, I was a bit surprised to see the motion come before the council, normally because this is a federal and state government issue. However, hearing some of the comments being made tonight and having a think about it prior to tonight's appearances, it is an important thing, or an important industry within regional WA. So while Western Australians and 1.8 million voters are in a metropolitan area, or I think it equates to around 85%, or I think it's 88%, 6% of the population of West Australia is in the metropolitan area. The other part, which West Australians, I would say a fair few of West Australians understand, particularly those that reside in regional Western Australia, understand that live sheep export, just sheep in general, and what's required in terms of husbandry of the sheep, the shearing, crunching, mulesing, everything to do with the industry in itself, employs people. Those people are members of our community, whether it's in the Northern Shire, which we do have farmers and shearing teams and farm hands and the like that actually operate within our shire, but I suppose also in terms of the greater wheat belt, Great Southern, and just people that are within regional WA, it's an important industry, and I think that we need to be seen to be supporting not only our ratepayers within the Northern Shire and those people that are employed within the agricultural industry, but also the wider community of regional WA. So we all need to shoulder it and at least put it out there for the other West Australians that live in the metropolitan area, educate them and give them some sort of understanding of how important it is for the councils in regional WA. So I would encourage those that are here tonight to support it.
Thank you, Councillor. Further speakers against? Further speakers for? Councillor Menchella, you have the right to reply.
Is this on? Yeah, look, this industry is very critical for Western Australia. We've been doing it for a long time. We've got a willing market, as I said, in the Middle East. They like the sheep live. They don't want it sent over there in a boxed fashion. They want to be able to slaughter it themselves, face it to Mecca and all that sort of stuff. And you know, there's been a few sheep lost on voyages between here and the Arabian Gulf, etc. But yeah, look, sheep die in paddocks as well on a fairly regular basis. So you know, I think it was a fairly inane decision on the part of the government to try and stamp it out, and they've been listening to the activists. And there's a lot of people in the metropolitan area that don't really know what happens in the industry. So I ask all the councillors around the table here to vote for the recommendation as presented.
Thank you, Councillor. So with that, I'll put the vote. So all those in favour of the recommendation as presented, that's 8-0, that's carried. We now go to page 44. So 13.1.2, Delegated Authority Register Review 2024-25. The recommendation is on page 59, I believe. So there's a recommendation there. Councillor Williams is moving. Councillor Gierac is seconding. Anyone likely to speak against? So all those in favour by a show of hands? That's 8-0, that's carried. We now go to page 256. So 13.2 is engineering services. 13.2.1 is Avon Central Coast 2050 cycling strategy. There's a recommendation on page 260. Councillor Ryan is moving. Councillor Polton is seconding. Anyone likely to speak against? So all those in favour by a show of hands? That's 8-0, that's carried. We now go to page 365. So 13.3 development services, 13.4 corporate services, 13.4.1 accounts and statements of accounts, June 2024. There was some question and answers on this in the last week. The recommendation is on page 367. Yes, Councillor Gierac, sorry, Councillor Gierac.
Thank you, Mr. President. I put in some queries quite late, so my fellow councillors might have not seen the responses. But I just would like to have some clarification on some of the responses what I received. Thank you, Colin. So there were a couple of clarifications I would like to seek. One on invoice 5657 and 5763, which was the community grant for the tea boxes. So there were two amounts, one $10,870.20 and another amount of $1,207.80. So I just would like to ask, this grant was approved in June this year. So my question is that this grant approval did not go through, according to my understanding, through the grant assessment committee. It was approved solely by administrative staff, or it was approved by the grant assessment committee?
I'll answer that.
The response you had was slightly incorrect. I had updated that, but you never, my apologies, you never got the update of that. It actually went through their Community Grants Assessment Committee on the 20th of November 2023 and was approved, and the total grant funding was for $10,980. And last payment was the final.
So that clarifies it. That's good. Thank you. And the other one was regarding invoice 1813. So this is a it says claim 9 of $14,366.55 for the Mount Omni Trial Network corridor evaluation. So that claim 9, does it mean that there were 8 claims before for that item?
I would presume that it was. The claims started coming through in small amounts as for the feasibility study, and that's been running that assessment over about the last 12 months, 18 months. I believe the budget for it was about $50,000.
So is this the final payment, or is there any more?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. So.
Thank you. That's
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hughes, I believe you're going to move. Councillor Hughes is moving. Councillor Mincelli is seconding. So anyone likely to speak against? So all those in favour by show of hands? That's 8-0, that's carried. We now go to page 419. So 13.4.2, monthly financial report for the period ending 30th of June 2024. There's a recommendation on page 42. Councillor Ryan is moving, Councillor Atherton is seconding. Anyone likely to speak against? So all those in favour by show of hands? That's 8-0, that's carried. We now go to page 435. So 13.4.3, rates exemption application 375 Fitzgerald Street, Northam. So with regard to the matter item 13.4.3, which is a rates exemption application 375 Fitzgerald Street, Northam, which I just read out, I disclose that I have an association with the person making the request. The association is verbal only. They have discussed this potential request as it was in the past. As a consequence, there may be a perception that my impartiality on the matter may be affected. I declare that I will consider this matter on its merits and vote accordingly. Yes, so 3.3, the recommend 435, 437 page. Councillor Mintelli is moving. Councillor Williams is second. Anyone likely to speak against? So all those in favour by show of hands? That's 8-0, that's carried. We now go to page 460. So, sorry, 458, and the recommendations on page 460. I apologise, Councillor. Yes, the recommendation there.
Move the recommendation.
Councillor Mintelli is moving, Councillor Bolton is seconding. So anyone likely to speak against? So all those in favour by show of hands? That's 8-0, that's carried. We now go to page 485. So 13.5 is community services. 13.5.1 is access and inclusion plan. Thanks, Colin. And the recommendation is on page 488. So Councillor Atherton is moving, Councillor Gear is seconding. Now, Councillor Williams.
I'd like to move an amendment to the motion.
Yes, certainly, and it'll be up on the board, councillors, as well. Can you just please do that?
Yes. Okay, it is the Council endorses the Shire of Northam Access and Inclusion Plan, but the amendment is that Council adds the following recommendation. Point 2, authorises the Chief Executive Officer to make minor adjustments to the plan, including A, the addition of definitions for diverse person and internal and external stakeholders. B, moving actions 2 and 4 under outcome 7 to an alternative outcome that relates to gender diversity.
Thank you. And before we proceed, I need a seconder. Councillor Mintelli is seconding. So what we're going to do, councillors, we're going to debate on this becoming substantive motion. So if this is approved, that'll become a substantive motion, and then vote on it again. Just wanted to see, Councillor Gearish, if there's any questions on it?
No.
So first, so is there going to be any speakers against this amended motion? So all those in favour by show of hands? That's 8-0. That's now become the substantive motion. So I'm probably going to look this way. If someone would like to move this motion, Councillor Williams is going to move. Councillor Mintelli is going to second. Is there anyone going to speak against this? This is no. So all those in favour by show of hands? That's 8-0. That's good. Councillor Williams, Councillor Mintelli. So thank you, councillors. So we're now going to page 505. So 13.5.2, consideration of the Community Safety Committee becoming an advisory group, and the recommendation is on page 508, and we've got two. Councillor Williams?
Yes, I'd like to move the recommendation.
Yes, so we've got part A recommendation. Councillor Williams is moving. Councillor Ryan is seconding. So anyone likely to speak against that? So all those in favour by a show of hands? That's 8-0, that's carried. And then we've got part B. Councillor Williams is moving. Councillor Ryan is seconding. So anyone likely to speak against that? So all those in favour by a show of hands? That's 8-0. That's carried. We now go to page 513. So we've got for item 14, matters behind closed doors. So we've got a recommendation there. Councillor Mencelli is moving. Councillor Polton seconding. So it's procedural, so I'll put it straight to the vote. All those in favour by a show of hands? That's 8-0. Debbie, as you're experienced now, can you please take our other guests to the other room? Can you please? Thank you, members of the public. So with regards to item 14.1, application under F 4.8, rates hardship, A11595, the recommendation was, and it was carried unanimously, that council approves ceasing further interest accruals on the rates and rubbish components for A11595 as of 17 July 2024 for a period of 6 months or until the property is sold and the rates are paid in full. Just so that members of the public and anyone online is aware of that. So we're still on page 513. Item 15 is motions of which previous notice has been given. That is nil. Item 16 is urgent business approved by decision. That is nil. Item 17 is declaration of closure, which is made at 6:04 p.m. Thank you, councillors, for your input and debate. Thank you, officers, for answering questions and preparing everything. Thank you, members of the public, for attending and asking questions. And the recording will start.